Excuse me, they didn't play against Soa. No, never mind. Different team. I take everything back. RPG is fine to go for Infernal Shrines. Just a little bit of a brain fart here. Kendrick apologizes and will now crouch back into his chair very deeply. There we go. You take over.
Well, you can see though that RPG
is still
an 0-4 on this map.
Saved.
And they still picked it. They still chose this.
Yeah.
Like, it's the map that ESTAR don't have a huge amount of wins on, because ESTAR have a very positive win ratio on most of the maps. So this could be a study, just a belief in themselves that their losses are flukes, and maybe noticing a pattern in ESTAR's play. We will see if that is the case.
Yeah, and you might wonder, why would RPG go for a map like Infernal Shrines where they have yet to win a map? And the reason here is probably that despite their bad record, they still feel comfortable on the map because it's getting played all the time. Maybe during scrims, maybe in Team League. It's just such a commonly picked battleground. You can't avoid it. You can't be the team that says, nope, we're not going to practice Infernal Shrines too much, because you're always going to face teams that would pick it. And banning Infernal Shrines is definitely leaving you vulnerable to those more exotic maps like Warhead Junction or Towers of Doom, where you might even feel more uncomfortable.
Very true. Very true indeed. So let's see what the bans are on this particular map. AoE, incredibly high priority on this map. The globals taking a little bit of a high priority, but not as much as just a big AoE due to the amount of pressure the objective can put on, because it's one of the few objectives that has a CC element. And that's actually one of the things that makes it so important. You can have a team without engagement as long as you win the objective, because if you can position correctly, you can use the objective as your engagement.
Yeah. And look at those bans. I was going to say Genji available, Malthael available. There's going to be a lot of fire going on in this game, because if you prioritize other bans, like let's say the Oriel or the Dahaka, which are no terrible bans by any means, but if you don't go for the Malthael or Genji ban, those are always going to be picked, because those two heroes are so dominant right now. Uther, of course, also being a highly contested support choice. I can't imagine they let the Malthael go through, especially not after watching the last series.
Let's find out.
They might go in Hilbrecht still, though, maybe.
They could. Other tanks that are good here. Stitches also has huge priority here, especially with the Uther. Those two combo so well together, so we may see that as a combo. Dibbles, like we said, gets good value on this map as well. Johanna, even, saw our last game, could get some good work done here.
Yeah, there's a lot of other good and viable heroes to be chosen. I'm leaning towards the Stitches or the Anubrak, as you said, because... Oh, never mind. They go for Chicken's favorite. They go for the Illidan. And picking Illidan this early normally gives plenty of room for the enemy teams to adjust. However, against Chicken, that oftentimes doesn't seem to work.
Yeah, picking Illidan this early is fairly standard for RPG. We can see a 39% win rate here, but a good chunk of those 13 wins are most likely from RPG, to be fair. But it's still very risky. Also, I like how the Amber Eyes are actually amber. You can see them visually on this skin. That's very nice to see. Haven't actually seen that skin before, so cool.
Can't recall it either. Looks really fancy.
So, Arthas and other coming in for ESTAR most likely.
Alright, now how do you shut down the Illidan without overcommitting? That's actually something I think that some teams make the mistake of. Like, they overcommit when it comes to countering Illidan. Yes, it is important to counter him, but designing and tailoring your entire draft to shut down Illidan is oftentimes a little bit too much. So I like what they're doing. I like that they go for the Arthas. A classic example of overcommitting would have been a Lily pick, for example, right? Because you want to have blinds, because you want to shut down Illidan a little bit more. But Rehgar is just as fine. And it actually adds a lot more to your own team's strengths rather than supports like, let's say, Lily or a warrior like Johanna.
Yeah, so that would be... I would like to see the Lily, though, quite honestly. We saw how effective it was in Open Division yesterday, so...
Was it picked against Illidan too?
It was. It wrecked. It absolutely destroyed him. As a second support, if they wanted to do something like that, like if they have Genji and then picked, say, I was going to say the Cassia would have been lovely, but even a Valor would be completely fine here, and then filled out their draft with the Lily as their second support, I would still really enjoy this.
Cool thing about Lily is you can actually send her in a solo lane early as well, and she's actually going to do pretty well against most other laners, thanks to her strong poke, thanks to her strong self-sustain, and even against ganks, she's actually really well equipped because of her movement speed that she gains passively upon taking damage. So I wouldn't hate it. The more I think of it, Tetra, the more I wouldn't hate it.
We will see if they do go for it. For now, we're going to see the Abathur banned out. I'm sure they would love to also ban out a Tassadar, but the Abathur a little bit too scary. They don't ban out either. They give both Abathur and Tassadar over to RPG if they want to play either of them. Yeah, interesting. And risk.
Yeah, it's a little bit risky, as you said, because there's Tassadar available, there's Abathur still available now, but I think ESTAR might thinking of picking Malthael here, and if they want to go Malthael, then the Anub'arak Cocoon would have been, of course, one of the major counters to it, because you drop the Tormented Souls and the Cocoon just denies all of that. Let's see if they're actually going to have this plan in mind, or if it's just something that could potentially happen.
How well does Abathur Malthael work?
I would assume it's pretty scary if you have a Malthael copy.
Yeah, the percentage damage will stack on top of each other, like the dot effect will actually apply from both Malthaels, I guess?
I would assume so.
Interesting. Interesting.
Hey, so we see the Murder and the Greymane, okay.
Not picking up that Tass or Abathur yet. They've left themselves open. Abathur would be amazing now, though. Cloning onto the Greymane or the Illidan would be fine.
Here we go. I got like if they go Abathur now as a last pick, every single member bar Uther would benefit heavily from an Abathur head. Like
even Uther, you go for full cube, you go for full E build, and you just auto attack slab things.
I mean, we have seen games in competitive Heroes of the Storm that were won because Abathurs went for the support copy and kept everyone alive. Don't underestimate how strong it can be to have a double support, and even a pimped up version of that support because it has increased ability power.
Exactly, that would be absolutely awesome to see. Lily has become slightly more viable as the game goes on. Muradin also very reliant on auto attacks, either via Skullcracker or that Iron Forge momentum. You can remove some of his viability there, and of course, Greymane, when he's in that Worgen form, very scary. We don't see that. Instead, we see Tyrael and Tychus. ESTAR sticking with a little bit of standard for us.
I think it's safe to say that ESTAR was not watching EU's Open Division yesterday.
I think you might be correct. So, RPG, what do you got for us? The Abathur, I really think the Abathur would just be superb right now. It'd be so good. Tassadar would still be fine, but it would be a cop-out pick. Go hard or go home, RPG.
Absolutely.
Show us what you got.
With the draft you've given us so far, you have reached the point of no return. You just can't disappoint us like that. Now, it needs to be an Abathur, full aggression mode. I do like what they have. Like, no matter who they copy, it's going to be a good one. No matter who they use the symbiote on, it's always going to get massive value. Muradin, we all know how tanky and nigh unkillable and Muradin can become after, you know, Abathur provides him with that additional attack speed, the additional shielding and healing. It's just easily one of the scariest combos you could possibly face. Yes, baby!
There it is! We know our drafting slightly. And the Abathur comes in. On a face value, both of these drafts are really, really strong. There is no distinguishing factor other than the Arthas. RPG needs to play the map a little bit better. Utilize that Illidan Global to give themselves the huge advantage they're going to need to win this. But they proved in their game number 2 versus CE that they can certainly do this. They just need to start it in game number 1 as opposed to game number 2 like they did yesterday.
Shout out to Zuya, by the way. We saw him in the audience there. Was it his girlfriend? Was it a fan? We don't know.
Why can't it be both?
Why can't it be both? Exactly. It's really cool to see that you have this atmosphere in this studio.
Could just be a friend as well.
Could be just a normal friend. Who knows? Could be his sister.
So many things. Could be an enemy. He could be being held at blackmail right now. We don't know. Yeah. We were assuming.
Assuming in 2017, lol.
Yeah. We've become the esports tabloid. Is this Zuyu's girlfriend? Does he think she's prettier than me?
All right, but that's of course the cool thing about this Chinese studio. Like, it's in the middle of a mall. You gotta imagine that, guys. You can go shopping, you can buy some juicy, delicious food and watch some brilliant esports as well. It's not just Heroes of the Storm that's getting broadcast there. I think StarCraft 2 is in there as well, Hearthstone. How cool would it be to have that available in Europe? Because I personally don't know any mall where you can have something like that.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Also, could be a dolphin in a human suit. Thank you, House of Grey, for joining in our sensationalism. So, yeah, I love the idea of it in a mall, but it definitely works better in the eastern regions than the western regions. For now, we are loading in to game number 1 of RPG versus ESTAR.
ESTAR in the blues on the left-hand side. They do not want to lose this game. They want to keep track of their rivals CE and SPT. Let's introduce the team a little bit more in depth. We have FC on the Turtle, China #1 on Rhaegar. We have Good on his Tychus, Kid plays Genji, and Ooze once again on the others.
Whereas on the right-hand side, it's going to be RPG with Chicken on the Illidan, Wang on the Muradin, Sar on the Uther, Infinity on the Abatha, and Loktar is going to be on the Greymane. As Grubby has informed me, Loktar is Orcish for victory.
Well, he has definitely abandoned his Horde friends and plays Greymane. Through and through, he is Alliance, you know.
We could convert the guild names.
Maybe. They're definitely the most ferocious members of the Alliance. So
Exactly.
maybe.
Exactly. Most useful members. Shots fired. Except the gnomes. Despite the fact they still have been in like one cinematic total. Yeah. The gnomes are still, in my opinion, some of the most useful. Oh, Gelbin Mechatork, though, doing the Broken Shores cinematic, that was absolutely amazing. I've never been a big fan of gnomes, so cool. But that cinematic alone has made me a believer. Yeah. Because they didn't get that many cinematics. They've ignored too much. It's nice to overlooked, give them something. Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's just the camera level set to like humanoid height mostly, so it misses them. They're in all the cinematics, you just can't see them. So, we are currently seeing a little bit of rotations. Back to the game. We're seeing rotations from both teams. Neither one's played super aggressively. Wang trying to position to try and catch someone or at least keep the vision available. But with the 4-man rotation, doesn't want to stay there for too long. Takes the Shuriken just to make sure that he's in a safer position if he gets engaged upon. Yeah, absolutely. Now we take a look at some of the other level 1 talents, and we don't see a lot of stuff that would surprise us. Maybe the Perfect Storm. I think that talent is something that China always seems to focus on. It's just such a nice way to build up more damage, to give you more mana regen, which Muradin quite fairly struggles from, especially in the mid-late game when he is spamming his abilities thanks to the Ironforge momentum. So that can really help him out a little bit to keep that under control. It really can. So we'll be able to see. We'll keep an eye on that, see if he is able to do so. Ooh, physical armor is able to survive. I think he would have survived even without it, but still, all tankiness is extra is good tankiness, as he is able to survive the engagement of Greymane and Muradin onto his lane. As the first objective spawns, and a head start is going to be got by ESTAR, as they said 2 members there. Oh, Wang stealing 3 away there with that one slam. Nicely done. I was going to say, that was immaculate timing there for sure, and the way RPG wants to play these early shrine phases is normally with an Abathur in your team, you should not fully commit to those shrines, because you're going to lack one body. You're not going to have the greatest wave clear either, so as long as you can stall them out, as long as you can steal a couple of skeletons like Wang is doing right now, and let Abathur do some soaking in the meantime, let Illidan do some pushing, you're going to be in a just fine position. Wang still going with that Thunderburn. I really do prefer crowd control on this map, but that's fine. Every little helps, and I am also bad. So, we do see ESTAR moving in with the first Punisher of the game. They got the head start, they would pick it up, but as such, RPG, a little bit ahead in XP. Depending on how many towers this Punisher takes down, this could have been the correct move from RPG to play that little bit safer. Especially if they don't die here, they're going to try and focus it down. Both these towers will probably fall. One, certainly, 2, likely. There we go, second one goes down as well. But the Punisher, not going to get a huge amount of value other than that, and they continue to soak the other lanes. So overall, for RPG, not bad. They stay even on XP. They don't lose a huge amount after losing that Punisher. However, they do lose Chicken, who went far too aggressive.
Yeah, he should have definitely had the map awareness, or at least a warning from his teammates to say, you know what, Chicken, they might be coming your way. They just took down the middle, so it's not that far from your position. But, you know, it happens to the best of us. It happens to the best Illidan players. And admittedly, that kill didn't really result in ESTAR gaining a massive XP lead. What they did, however, manage to get was the mercenary camp in the bottom. And those impalers, while they might not deal the most of damage to buildings, they're still exceptionally annoying to deal with, because compared to the siege giants, with their only 2 minions or 2 mercenaries, it's 3 of them, so it takes a little bit longer to take them down.
Yes, it does. So right now, with level 7s on the way for RPG, they pick them up. They're beginning to get a little bit braver, roaming out on the map. Only a little bit, though. Illidan making his way back into lane, even though he remembers the last time you can see him. He's actually in the lane now, as opposed to in his base. We do see Ironforge Momentum coming in, not going to go with the Skull Cracker, which is always fun, but Ironforge gives you more of those slams. It sort of makes up for the lack of the crowd control. It's sort of like whether you want the extra attack speed, which can be negated and also means that you're going to be at Arthas's range a lot, or whether you want the extra ability so that you can continue to slam and continue to queue as much as possible.
Yep. Absolutely agree, and RPG is doing a fantastic job staying very close in terms of XP now. Careful, the spray and pray keeps hitting Illidan despite having the evasion up, but they get the kill, and they might get FZ on the turtle here as well.
They're trying to body block, but it's Tyrael, so instead they jump on his head and Mario him as Tyrael is taken out. And we will see the rest of RPG pushing in. Chicken very nearly dying to minions in the tower, taking a fort shot as well. Slight miss micros, but they are still pushing their way through. Again, ignoring the objective. And this is what they need to do. They're not in a position where they're going to win team fights until late game. So they're getting as much on the map as they can. They're going to get themselves the first fort of the game here.
Exactly. And it is so good when you get a fort without even needing the Punisher, because that means future Punisher pushes are going to be more efficient. Chicken indeed needs to be careful, but he gets reinforced by Wang and Sa, and they drive back Ooze in a combined effort. Once again, they seem to completely ignore the Punisher, and look how much experience they have gotten in the process. It is so good.
They're going to hit 10 first, so now they can defend the Punisher with no issues. You can see them rotating up. They're going to be able to even push some pressure onto the mid lane. They hunt onto Good behind his own gate. He survives, but the pressure was used. I guess it helps Illidan rotate a bit. So they can now head up to top lane and defend without too much of an issue. Level 10 is only halfway there for ESTAR. They're halfway through that level 9. They will hit level 10 during this push, but they're not committing to it because they're not willing to take the risks. So that actually is good for RPG. They once again mind game it. They send 2 heroes down to the bot lane, leave 2 heroes defending, and Abathur is soaking mid and bot lane as well.
Yeah, and when you hit level 10, that's where Abathur says, final form acquired. Because now he has the copy ready, he can get a pimped up version of Illidan or Greymane. Probably still would go for the Greymane because he's a little bit more versatile in terms of verifying his damage. He can go for abilities with the cocktails, he can go for physical damage, but an Illidan copy is just as fine, I feel.
I would agree. Both very viable, both very distracting to the backline. So Sanctification more than likely to be seen here coming out of Tyrael because they need that protection. You see that copy, you drop that Sank. You make sure your team is safe from that big backline damage. He is taking his time though. He may go for Judgment, like Judgment Dragonblade, maybe, but I'm not so sure if that is a good idea.
Exactly.
Split push. Happening again. This time, Illidan not available for it. Illidan pushing mid lane. It is actually just a full... Genji looking for Abathur there. It is actually just going to be a 5-man push in bot lane versus a 3-man push in top lane, which will get 1 fort. A 1-man push in mid lane, which is going to get the towers. Not sure it will get the fort. We are seeing ports coming out of the rest of RPG. They do need to defend this. This push is still happening. There we go. Now they're retreating. They can keep going. They're not going to take the risk, though. They're all moving up to top lane to regroup together.
Here we go. This is looking still pretty solid for RPG. 13 is going to be right around the corner. Abathur, of course, has that big advantage that he can soak a little bit more than other heroes. He can actually soak 2 lanes at the same time using Symbiote and his own Slug Body. Now, let's see. We take a look at some of the heroic abilities for ESTAR. Nothing really surprising here. I think what RPG really needs to be aware of is the Sanctification Dragonblade. Like, if that combo hits, combine that with the hitting power of an Odin from the range, it could be really disastrous because there's only one panic button. And, you know, Uther can only protect Greymane or Illidan. One of the two has to play a lot more defensively when Divine Shield has been used on the other.
Very true. We will see how they do play around that. Like, Metamorphosis would have been a way to deal with that, but that's not what they went for. They're going for that aggression. Let's see who if they can pick up Genji here, rotating around. But Genji's already gone. They just continue to put pressure on the top lane. Are they going to actually pay attention to an objective? They're going to pay attention to trying to stay alive as Wang is focused, but he does escape. And yeah, they're ignoring the objective again. Yeah. 3 objectives in a row. They're a talent ahead, and they continue to split push. And I continue to agree. Yeah. This is how they should be playing it. Yeah. The only issue with this particular time they're doing it is it's in the bot lane with the fort already down. They hunt Cursed Bullet onto Ooze. They're going to try and just blow him up here. This was a mistake. Chicken will die here.
There is a reason why Arthas is considered to be the major counter to Illidan, and oh boy, Lockter is going to follow suit here. Now, I do want to question this. Why didn't they use it on Tychus? Sure, the Cursed Bullet couldn't have hit because Arthas was here, but why did they hunt the Tychus and try to kill him?
I don't know if they saw him. I think they just overcommitted at that point. For now, we did see the rest of RPG attempt to contest, and they stayed far too long. Divine Shield having to be used. There's no 4. Uther may still die here. It's a 3v2. Dragonblade, you are down. Can Wang survive? He hasn't used Avatar yet, so he should get out. And he, in fact, does. And yeah, slight misplace from RPG. They've been doing really well so far, but a collapse in from ESTAR, and everything seemed to fall apart there.
I also gotta say that normally when you go for these split pushing maneuvers like Greymane and Illidan did, you should have a couple of mines nearby to maybe indicate when enemies are coming your way. But even without it, we definitely don't want to blame Avatar for these deaths, but even without those mines, there should have been enough game awareness or game knowledge that sooner or later they're gonna come for you and they're gonna try to stop you from taking down those buildings, right? So once again, an overextension by RPG. I think if they work on this, if they work on these mistakes, they can truly win this game by ignoring shrines over and over again. But as time goes by, of course, the Punishers get a little bit more powerful, so I'm not sure if they're going to want to pursue this strategy until the end of time, because at some point the Punisher's always going to outvalue an Illidan split push.
Very true indeed. So we continue to see ESTAR rotating around aggressively, mostly on RPG's side of the map, because RPG, for basically the first time this game, are actually behind in XP.
Yep.
Due to those kills, losing 3 of their 4 members who are actually on the map, and though we once again do not count, is quite devastating to them.
Yep, that is very true. Now, all heroic abilities are ready on both sides, so Illidan is probably going to try to split push a little bit more. 16 is definitely something they need to acquire before looking for another team fight, unless they find someone isolated and off guard. But who are you going to lock down, really? Like, Arthas, definitely not a target. It already failed in the past. Genji, hard to lock down in the first place. Turiel could go for the Sanctification, also highly mobile. So there really are only 2 targets that are worth to be initiated on. It is the Rhaegar, no self-cleanse, no self-ancestral, and maybe the Tychus, because once he's used his E, there's no way he can just run away.
Yeah, very true. Let's see if they... yeah, you were right there. So, RPG... Sorry, brain blanked for a bit. RPG
no
trying to Chinese bush meta.
Oh, the infamous.
One is choosing that particular bush.
Here we go. Look at Arthas' level 16 talent, by the way. We see the increased damage on, depending on how much HP the target has lost.
I like it.
I like it too.
He's the Cursed Bullet target.
Yeah.
So he always gets value.
That is so smart. Right?
It is smart. Right now, they're just trying to delay. They're not actually looking for a fight here, guys. They are just hovering around, waiting for Illidan to continue to split push. Illidan can hunt up, but they know they're going to lose this. This is just purely a delay tactic.
Yep. They want to be as pesky and annoying. Oh, look at that ESTAR banner, though. Woo! That is giving me some nerd tingles. I like it. Did you see it, Tetcher?
No, what?
The banner? The ESTAR banner on the fort?
Oh, no, I missed it. I'll see it in a sec. Hopefully they'll pan back to it in a second.
I was like, okay, no reaction from Tetcher. What is going on here?
No, I missed it. I wasn't looking at it. Sorry, we do see it jumping in and then jumping out. He now needs to attack things to get that hunt cooldown back if he needs it for the fight. If he wants it for the fight, sorry, he would have very much liked to have it. Kid finally finds that mine that he was dancing near to for quite a while there and leaping away. Once again, RPG just scuffling around here, not looking for fights. They're ignoring another objective, letting Illidan get some pressure onto that bot lane.
Oh, Tychus caught a stun here by Wang, but he's once again just trying to buy time, using the Stone Skin, using the Avatar Symbiote, and he stays alive for now.
He is delaying basically
by himself
with Uther over the wall, just buying time. The objective goes over, but that bought so much time for Chicken and Locktar to push in. They will get this front wall. They're not going to be able to get the fort, but now they can be back and defend. They're going to be, once again, ahead in XP. Muradin from behind. More delay tactics. It's going to just be incredibly annoying, but they do need to defend this. Their keep is under duress. They have decided that is not what they're doing. Double Greymane Illidan going for the keep. Are they going to try and go for the core? This explains why Muradin is trying to stop the core here, and Ras Ooze.
I think they can do it.
Uther's defending alone right now. The keep is down. The core is under attack.
What?
They're going for a double Greymane.
No way.
The core, the Dragon Blade doing so much damage. The shield is down. It's just Chicken on the core with Abatha trying to sustain.
Look at the heal.
This. He uses the evasion, trying to hold it, but there's so much damage. There's no way he gets away with this. But now there's still 3 heroes. Sar is down. It's just Abatha and Muradin. Where's Muradin? Muradin coming in from behind, but the health bars are so high. The Punisher a little bit low. Muradin wrapping around the outside, coming in for the delay. Can he do it? Punisher is down. It's just Muradin to save the game with the help of Abatha. Abatha jumping on the core, dropping the shield, sanctification, delaying it down. Here comes Genji. It's a 5 versus 2. That's going to be GG. And we see ESTAR taking game number 1.
Wow, I gotta give A for effort here to RPG. I think they realized, okay guys, we're fully committed to this. We used the copy, we used 2 of our main DPS sources to go for that keep. I think it could have worked. The only thing they should have probably done better was preventing some of the members from ESTAR to teleporting back. But of course, that is easier said than done. There was only Uther and Muradin to really slow them down. Muradin was actually a little bit caught aside as well because he was fully committing to Arthas, right? The moment Arthas makes it to the core, Greymane is not going to damage it anymore and Illidan might get slowed down. So Muradin's top priority was Arthas, and there's only so much one Uther can stall out against 3 heroes.
Yeah, the fact that Genji was able to be the Dragon Blade was able to be too much for it there. Oh well, the Greymanes were grouped as well. It was not an ideal core attempt. They weren't able to get through it. It didn't help that the Greymane copy was the one that was tanking the keep, as opposed to Illidan with the evasion. Couple little mistakes, but they were in a bit of a hurry. They didn't have a lot of time to really organize that. That was very much a, we're just going to try this and hope. And it did a lot of damage. It got a good chunk off the core, but nowhere near enough. And then you're in a 5v2 at your own core, and that is GG. But RPG, once again, showing that they can put up a fight against one of these top 3 teams.